The Alcázar of Seville is a royal palace in Seville, Spain, originally developed by Moorish Muslim kings. The palace is renowned as one of the most beautiful in Spain, being regarded as one of the most outstanding examples of mudéjar architecture found on the Iberian Peninsula. The upper levels of the Alcázar are still used by the royal family as the official Seville residence and are administered by the Patrimonio Nacional. It is the oldest royal palace still in use in Europe, and was registered in 1987 by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site, along with the Seville Cathedral and the General Archive of the Indies. Etymology. The term Alcázar comes from the Hispano-Arabic word Alcázar, meaning royal house or room of the prince. History. The real Alcázar is situated near the cathedral and the General Archive of the Indies in one of Spain's most emblematic areas. The Almohads were the first to build a palace, which was called Al-Mubarak, on the site of the modern-day Alcázar. It is one of the most representative monumental compounds in the city, the country and the Mediterranean culture. Its influences held within its walls and gardens began in the Arabic period and continued into the late Middle Ages mudéjar period right through to the Renaissance, the Baroque era, and the 19th century. Subsequent monarchs have made their own additions to the Alcázar. The palace was the birthplace of Infanta Maria Antonieta of Spain, daughter of Philip V of Spain and Elizabeth Farnese. The king was in the city to oversee the signing of the Treaty of Seville, which ended the Anglo-Spanish War. The palace, Puerta del León, the main entrance to the Alcázar, takes its name from the 19th-century tile work and laid above it, a crowned lion holding a cross in its claws and bearing a Gothic script. Patio de las Doncellas, the name, meaning the courtyard of the maidens, refers to the legend that the Moors demanded 100 virgins every year as tribute from Christian kingdoms in Iberia. The lower level of the patio was built for King Peter I and includes inscriptions describing Peter as a sultan. Various lavish reception rooms are located on the sides of the patio. In the center is a large rectangular reflecting pool with sunken gardens on either side. For many years, the courtyard was entirely paved in marble with a fountain in the center. However, historical evidence showed the gardens and the reflecting pool were the original design, and this arrangement was restored. However, soon after this restoration, the courtyard was temporarily paved with marble once again at the request of movie director Ridley Scott. Scott used the paved courtyard as the set for the court of the King of Jerusalem in his movie Kingdom of Heaven. The courtyard arrangement was converted once more after the movie's production. The upper story of the patio was an addition made by Charles V. The addition was designed by Luis de Vega in the style of the Italian Renaissance, although he did include both Renaissance and mudéjar plasterwork in the decorations. Construction of the addition began in 1540 and ended in 1572. Los Baños de Doña María de Padilla, the baths of Lady Maria de Padilla, are rainwater tanks beneath the Patio del Crucero. The tanks are named after Maria de Padilla, the mistress of Peter the Cruel. La Casa de Contratación. The Casa de Contratación was established in 1503 by the Catholic monarchs to regulate trade with the New World colonies. After the discovery of America, the Casa controlled the governmental apparatus of Spanish exploration and colonization, and consequently dealt with legal disputes concerning trade with the Americas. Its administration buildings were located near the Patio de la Monteria and included the chapel where Columbus met with Ferdinand and Isabella after his second voyage. The chapel today houses paintings of some of the most celebrated voyages of the discoverers, such as the Virgin of the Navigators, one of the first paintings to depict the discovery of the Americas and one of the earliest paintings to depict Columbus and Magellan's first voyage around the world. To accommodate that institution, the city of Seville was chosen. The same year, construction and arrangement of the necessary buildings was ordered. What survives today of the old House of Trade is only part of the original construction, which included a number of buildings that stretched from the current Patio de la Monteria to Plaza de la Contratación, where it had its main facade. This area included, among others, the Admiral's Room, a chapter house with two two-story buildings, a chapel, another area of warehouses and rooms around a courtyard next to the Plaza de la Contratación, this part being demolished in 1964. In 1717, the agency moved to the city of Cadiz. Since 1793, when the Casa de Contratación was shut down, all its former departments were merged into the Alcázar. Other sections: Patio de las Muñecas, Patio de la Monteria, Dormitorio de los Reyes Moros, Salón de Embajadores, 1427. Detail gallery. The gardens. All the palaces of Al-Andalus had garden orchards with fruit trees, horticultural produce and a wide variety of fragrant flowers. The garden orchards not only supplied food for the palace residents but had the aesthetic function of bringing pleasure. Water was ever present in the form of irrigation channels, runnels, jets, ponds and pools. The gardens adjoining the Alcázar of Seville have undergone many changes. In the 16th century, during the reign of Philip III, the Italian designer Vermonde Resta introduced the Italian manner style. Resta was responsible for the Galleria de Grutesco, transforming the old Muslim wall into a loggia from which to admire the view of the palace. Gardens. Mercury Pond, taking the form of a large pond, located at the high point of the palace and thus higher than the rest of the gardens. The reservoir is presided over by the figure of the god Mercury, designed by Diego de Pasquia and cast by Bartolomé Morel in 1576. These men also contributed railings with shields with lions at their corners and 18 bulls with pyramidal finials surrounding the pond. All these elements were originally gilded, but only traces remain of the coating. The backdrop is the Gallery of the Grotesque, which was constructed on an old Almohad wall. Further contributions and a changed decoration were made by Vermonde Resta around 1612, making this the most mannerous section of the Alcázar. It consists of rustically worked stones of different types that simulate marine rocks. These stone elements form quadrangular spaces, and at the halfway point the walls are painted red to mimic red marble. The walls also show mythological figures and exotic birds painted by Diego de Esquivel in the 17th century. The top of gallery is decorated with spires in the form of castle crenellation. In the front of the pond, there is a fountain with a recently restored water organ from the 17th century. In popular culture, in 1962 the Alcázar was used as a set for Lawrence of Arabia. The Patio de las Doncellas was used as the set for the court of the King of Jerusalem in the 2005 movie Kingdom of Heaven. Part of the 5th season of Game of Thrones was shot in several locations in the province of Seville, including the Alcázar.